So this is the sophomore film from French director Coralie Fargeat. Her first film was called Revenge back in 2017, 2018, which I haven't seen, but that I've heard is a very gritty, very gory kind of retake on the revenge genre. The Substance stars Demi Moore as Elizabeth Sparkle, an aging Hollywood star, someone who started in the 80s, huge person, very successful, and she's approaching her 50th birthday, and she has this very successful, like, exercise Jane Fonda style show. And as her birthday approaches, Dennis Quaid, who's her really slimy and gross boss, tells her, once a woman turns 50, it's kind of over for her. She, we need something. It's funny because he dances around what he's trying to say, which is, you're too old for the show now. She loses this position, and through a series of events comes to learn about the Substance, something that promises to make a younger, more beautiful, perfect version of yourself. She's hesitant at first, but she feels her career kind of going down the drain and opts into the Substance. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because it's a lot of fun, but the premise is you birth kind of a clone of yourself, and the younger version of you gets to be that for 7 days, but then they have to switch, and then Elizabeth has to be 7 days of her. The younger version is named Sue, played by Margaret Qualley, who immediately goes out and gets like the job that Elizabeth Sparkle had, and is enjoying like the fame and the youth because, oh, you're so beautiful and you're perfect, and she knows all the moves already to all the dance stuff. But of course, this is something that cannot last and will go horribly wrong, because Sue eventually, she wants more time. 7 days isn't enough. She has this fabulous life, and she wants more and more, and this of course brings up a huge clash to come. This is one of the craziest movies I've ever seen, maybe my favorite horror movie of the year so far. I was not prepared. Everyone's been buzzing, talking about it. We've been looking forward to this to a long time. Zach, what did you think?
You're going to hear some big words about The Substance when people talk about it. You're going to hear things like masterpiece or modern classic or instant hit, a must-see for horror fans, an epic. All of these things are true. The Substance is amazing. The Substance is amazing. It's the kind of art like you can't believe you saw after you've seen it. And it almost demands a rewatch. It's so cool and so neat and so twisted and so delightful in the way that it makes you writhe in your chair and makes you wildly uncomfortable in physical fashion, mental. It makes you nauseous. It makes you scared. It makes you laugh. The Substance is amazing. It is an amazing sophomore feature from Coralie Fargeat. I cannot wait to see what she does next. I need to go watch her previous film, Revenge. I am so excited we get to talk about The Substance on this podcast. Andy, where do we start talking about it?
Man, there's so many places to start. I want to start with our performances, though. Demi Moore is incredible as Elizabeth Sparkle. She is this kind of pained woman, and she looks amazing. And what's also incredible is Demi Moore is 60, almost 60, and she's playing younger. She's playing a 50-year-old. Looks incredible, but she has this kind of this body dysmorphia, this self-loathing, a lot of it, and it comes from she feels her career threatened and goes to these extreme measures. So there's a lot of symbolism in what we do to ourselves because of our obsession of youth and beauty. Margaret Qualley is incredible as Sue. She had to transform her body herself to be kind of this younger, thinner version, and she's leered at so much of the camera. It is so gross. Like whenever they do these dance videos,
Yes.
the Demi Moore versions are very clean and 80s, and the more modern versions are just like lots of twerking, camera everywhere, and it's just, you feel gross and lecherous. And then of course Dennis Quaid, who plays the slimy Harvey, is I guess his name, but he's just so gross, and the camera is all in your face. But we have three incredible performances. All of them deserve to be like Oscar nominated. We'll see if that happens or not.
Yeah, I people have been calling this the performance of Demi Moore's career, and I'm having a hard time disagreeing. And yes, I understand her previous work. She is so perfectly cast in this role. It's like Michael Keaton in Birdman. Like, you could not have landed like a better person to fit this character of Elizabeth Sparkles, this aging woman who is horrified that everything is going away and that the ride is over. And when she gets the opportunity to get another pass at it with the substance, she can't help herself but take it. And of course, she realizes how great it is to have this beautiful version of yourself, but also is horrified to find like what is left when the best parts of you are plucked out and specifically taken away. Like what is left of that husk of a person. And like, it's such a delightfully awful dive down the rabbit hole, man, that you just can't come back from. I love the way the substance continues to escalate the stakes, because in this Jekyll and Hyde like fashion, it at least first appears to be something you can predict. Okay, she's going to take this thing. Margaret Qualley is going to come into the film. That Margaret Qualley is going to gain power being this beautiful one, and then Demi Moore's character may lack power, and there's going to be kind of this struggle for who is really the one, who is the important Elizabeth Sparkles when it comes to the substance. It goes so much further than that. Oh my God, it goes so much further than that. In places I didn't expect. It horrifies in ways I didn't know I could be horrified. At one point I was twisted up in my chair with my hands covering my face. Andy and I saw it together. I'm sure at a number of points you could probably hear me say in my seat, like, oh God, no. Oh no. Like, we're not going here. It is a thrill ride you cannot get off of. And I say all of that to compliment its runtime, because at nearly 2.5 hours, any other movie, I'd say it's too long. Any other movie, I'd say it's too much. Not The Substance. Demands it. Deserves it. It deserves its flowers. A delightful trip all the way through.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into the horror of it all, because after all, that's what this is. It's kind of a dark fairy tale, and it succeeds in a lot of ways. There's lots of references to other horror properties, things, Videodrome, Cronenberg, the Fly, The Shining, Terminator, even. So there's lots of that influential stuff, but it's still doing its own thing. But the main thing that makes it stick out is the body horror. The body horror is next level, and it starts from the beginning. When we first, the transformation scene from Elizabeth into Sue is a long extended sequence, and it is so gross. It's like that. I was like gagging in several parts throughout this movie, and it just gets worse. Like, that's the end of Act 1 is the big transformation scene, and then it starts to escalate as kind of the stakes go up, because Sue becomes more and more successful, and she needs more and more time. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, kind of in a very Severance way, the TV show, she's kind of stuck always inside. Like, she's having to live vicariously through her younger self, because she's not really her younger self, even though the substance always reminds us there is only one person, but there's really not. But just the body horror of it is just, it's horrific, and it goes places that you didn't think. And again, these themes of this obsession, what we do to ourselves because of our obsession with youth and beauty, and ends up having the opposite effect in trying to keep that youth.
Yeah, and the way Elizabeth like predicts kind of where she thinks things will be going is the same thing you're doing in your seat, and you are also unsettled when things do not go the way we expect. And suddenly, like, when the ride is off the rails and we don't know where we're headed, like, you end up in this horrible place that is so delightful to enjoy. I have not felt this sensation in a cinema. I don't know if ever. Additionally, like, I just want to talk about the incredible lens work in this movie. My God, the close-ups. My God, the close-ups. Like, so extremely close up. You wish you could pull back on anything and everything, right? Whether it's Margaret Qualley being horrifically objectified in her Pump It Up segments that are hilariously too long, or Dennis Quaid eating shrimp in the first act in what might be the most grotesque scene in the entire film, which is saying a lot. Like, these extreme close-ups on these horrifying things that are just everyday body work, right? Like somebody eating or somebody smoking a cigarette, like, is such a great set dressing for what's to come when things get truly twisted. And on top of like genuine super saturation, high velocity, kinetic editing, like, I love the presentation of The Substance. This shadow company organization that produces this stuff has the slickest DVD, the slickest USB drive you could find to watch a presentation about the substance. The actual materials you get like come in this packaging with specific orders and title cards that tell you what to do. Like, it's just so delightful all the way down. It's lacking in, I guess people have said subtext. It's very on the nose, but that gives so much more room to like enjoy the horrifying things that you're seeing and feeling, right? Like, because the movie is so straightforward about what it's doing and what it's saying, what it has to say about beauty standards, God, and women's constant struggle to keep up with what is supposed to be the next new norm. Like, it gives you so much room to just like marinate in this awfulness, this despicableness. That's just so much fun.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the camera work as well. The one of the very first scenes is Dennis Quaid in the restroom, and he's, using the restroom, and the camera is in his face, and it's so close, his whole face isn't even in frame. A lot of times you'll just get like an eyeball and part of his mouth, and like the camera does a lot of that throughout the whole movie, and that is symbolic in itself, the way everyone's under a microscope that's trying to be in the entertainment industry, but also the kind of double standard that all the men in the movie are really kind of gross. Like, he's gross. He eats as much as he wants. He smokes. He's got gross teeth. Meanwhile, the women have to be more than perfect. At one point, they put up a billboard of Sue, and her billboard is like super photoshopped, super airbrushed, like doesn't even look like her, because they've created an even more like grotesque, perfectly grotesque version of her, even though she looks amazing. And it's that kind of camera work that I think is just another, it's such a stylistic choice, and it's through all of it, through the procedure of of taking the substance and the transformations of the camera's just so close all the time.
Yeah. Additionally, with the razor sharp script, it's very funny. It's much funnier than you would expect. Like, for us sitting here talking about how horrifying and great the cinematography is, it's a very funny movie. You end up laughing a lot more than you'd think. Vince McMahon. Dennis Quaid plays this Vince McMahon kind of character, this like agent who's larger than life and wears all these flashy suits and is this very, very man's man, very forward, very gross. And yeah, his character intro in that very first scene is a great character intro. And I'm very pleased to say, like, it is one of Quaid's best performances in a minute. Like, I've been worried about our boy, right? Like, I thought maybe he's too far down the rabbit hole here, but like, he has turned out something fantastic here. Same with Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley continuing to turn out. It's a small cast. Like, these characters don't even have that many relationships in their lives, and you'd think for a 2.5 hour movie they would, right? Like, you'd have a full ensemble here. Nope, the substance doesn't need it. We don't need to waste our time with that. All right, like, we're getting to the goods right now. Boy, I just can't remember the last time I saw a movie where like I had no idea what was going and like couldn't wait to find out what was next. Like nail bitingly tense in the best ways.
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of guesswork, and I definitely was nowhere close to what happened, which is what I love. And yeah, interestingly enough, Dennis Quaid's role was originally supposed to be played by Ray Liotta, who passed away tragically not too before he could film it. But Quaid's incredible. He has this kind of circus ringleader charm where he's got his eyes are always hugely opened, and he's got these outrageous outfits. He's got these boots that have like metal heels and are always clinking around everywhere. Like, he's such a charlatan and a character. I wanted to get into the soundtrack a little bit, the score of this.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of a Challengers-esque like club EDM kind of pump it up soundtrack through a lot of this, and it's really, really effective. It works really well with the whole movie.
Yeah, soundtrack is really tremendous, and like just kind of the general tone. Like, Coralie Fargeat, like, she's produced something genuinely lightning in a bottle here, and like I'm looking forward to seeing her previous film, but looking ahead, I don't know how she does this again. Like, there's something so uniquely special about this movie. I'm not sure she could do it twice. I think this is the kind of art that like it's so good, dude. It comes from a place like I don't know how you get back to it. What is it? Leonard Cohen used to say about good music. He said, if I knew where the good songs came from, I'd go there more often. The Substance is a good song, and I'm scared you can't do this twice. It's so good. Like, it's incredible, man. I need to go see it again. I need to find people to take to go see it with me, which is probably a good segue into recommendations, because I feel like I'm talking in circles. Andy, anything else you want to cover before we jump into recommendations?
I just wanted to really quickly mention that I did actually see it twice. Like I went and saw it the next day because it's also one of those movies that benefits from seeing it with the crowd because everyone's going to be grossed out,
Oh,
sick,
dude, yeah.
throwing up in the aisles, that kind of thing. So I mean, I'm sure it'll be great at home, but like see it with a group, see it with friends, and it'll be a whole different experience.
Andy, would you recommend The Substance?
Absolutely. We've been looking forward to this for a long time, and for once it actually delivered. One of my favorite films of the year so far. One of my favorite horror films. An instant classic. And a lot of times we hear those superlatives, and it's just like it's used for marketing. But this movie's incredible. I've seen it twice. I could see it again this weekend if we didn't have other things to see. Highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, dude, run, do not walk to see The Substance. Go on a weeknight, take off work. Do whatever you have to do to see this movie in as big a screen as possible with the biggest crowd that you can. They are getting smaller every day this movie is out. Go see The Substance, please. If you are a horror head, go see The Substance. If you've heard it's cool, go see The Substance. This movie rocks. It is a top 10 of the year, probably a top 5 of the year, possibly a top 3 of the year. Epic, incredible work. Like, please go see The Substance. This movie rocks. I don't have enough good things to say about it. It's the kind of movie that you walk out of it and you're just buzzing. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't wait to talk about it with somebody. Like, so twisted and so wild. Incredible time. The Substance absolutely rocks, dude. I don't think I have anything negative to say about it. I really don't. But with that, we should move on to upcoming things. We have some new trailers coming out. Andy, what do we call this segment?
It's time for the trailer park.